free Masonic networks are no longer necessarily obsessed with the Temple of Solomon as they were before, and it's no longer simply a Zio entity in that respect. Indeed, it seems the Freemasons these days are more concerned with transhumanism, and a lot of the targeting via microwave beaming and voice-to-skull technology that targeted individuals are victims of is due to a transhumanist agenda and the testing of new technology that the transhumanist Freemasons wish to roll out on the entire population. So it's an interesting notion. Indeed, targeted individuals are test subjects for mind control experimentation by transhumanists, who are themselves, the majority of them, Freemasons. So it's interesting to note, indeed, I became a targeted individual in 2020 after exposing certain information about Devices Police on my Instagram channel. And I was immediately bombarded with microwave beams and have been being bombarded by microwave beams for the past 6 years now. And this is all due to the fact that I exposed certain activities of Devices Police regarding organ harvesting with Walter Rose and Sons Butcher Shop, and indeed this led to my overall targeting. However, the microwave beams aren't the only technology that has been used on me. Indeed, also I have also been a victim of voice-to-skull technology and the implanting of voices, thoughts, and false memories in my mind by whoever is doing it. And indeed, I have yet to come to a conclusion on who is doing the actual targeting. Indeed, it has to be someone connected with Devices Police that is beaming radiation at me and implanting thoughts, voices, and memories into my brain. So it's interesting to consider. Indeed, a lot of the targeting also seems to have the dual function of attempting to convince me that I am a Russian agent. Indeed, this is all part of the Blackwell legacy. The Freemasonic networks are attempting to cast me as a Russian agent so that they can deal with me in a certain way that the British police deal with anyone who stands up to them. And indeed, they place them in a basement and make them out to be a communist to the public. So it's interesting to consider. Indeed, the West and the Russians have an arms race going on in terms of psychotronic weapons. Indeed, there is a large targeted individual community in Russia who are being psychotronically beamed at and having voice-to-skull technology perpetrated on them by the Russian government. So it's interesting to consider that both the governments of the West and the Russian intelligence services are up to the same activities in terms of attempting to begin the implementation of a transhumanist agenda, which will lead to mass mind control of the population, which is basically what all of this is leading to. This is all leading to mass mind control of the population, and indeed, targeted individuals are the test subjects for the mass mind control mechanisms that the intelligence services of the West and Russia wish to implement on the population. Indeed, it's all a rather scary concept, what is going on with this electronic harassment. And indeed, electronic harassment is merely seen as a delusion by psychiatrists. However, it is not a delusion. Indeed, it all began with mesmerism in the late 1700s, and indeed, James Tilly Matthews was targeted by mesmerists, many of whom were operative for certain branches of the British government who wished to conceal certain agendas of theirs. and did not want James Tilly Matthews talking about it. Therefore, they incarcerated him in Bedlam Hospital, the asylum. And indeed, he was also under mesmerist sorcery from the Jacobins also, so it's interesting to consider. Indeed, it seems that in some regards, the Jacobins were actually agents of the British elites. So it's all very interesting to consider indeed. This targeting is ongoing indeed. Although I only became a targeted individual in those specific terms in 2020, I have technically been a targeted individual since 2012, when I began my exposures of the Grenville Lodge institution. And indeed, I have been monitored since then by the Grenville Lodge Freemasons and their various acolytes, such as the Wiltshire Police Force, who are themselves majority percentage Freemasons, and therefore are a cluster of the network in inverted commas indeed. It was a Wiltshire Police operative, Superintendent Stephen Nash, who gave the authorization for my girlfriend Catty to be murdered in 2013 in Russia. So it's interesting to consider the Wiltshire Police networks were running the satanic neo-Nazi cult System, who murdered my girlfriend Catty. It's interesting to note that Wiltshire Police were running this neo-Nazi satanic cult. Indeed, although the official orders had come from Grenville Lodge, it was a Wiltshire Police operative who authorized the murder. So it makes sense as to why I expose Wiltshire Police so much on this channel, because I have a personal vendetta against Wiltshire Police. And a lot of the activities of Wiltshire Police do tally up with the Grenville Lodge overarching operation that I am trying to expose over the course of this video diary. Indeed, everything I've been talking about in this video diary is leading to an exposure of Grenville Lodge and Department S34 and the transhumanist Freemasonic agenda that I am trying to work out the details of at the moment. So it's all very interesting to consider indeed. Transhumanism is purportedly the next stage of human evolution. Indeed, the transhumanist elites wish to create mind-controlled robots of the population, and this is related to the targeted individual program, because the targeted individual program is the rolling out of the technologies that the intelligence elites wish to introduce for the masses, basically. So it's interesting to consider the targeted individuals are test subjects for the overarching transhumanist agenda, and everything is headed towards the cyborgization of society. And indeed, the elites wish to rule over a robotic, hypno-programmed population. Indeed, the Freemasons do utilize their belief that they are the 40 elders at the bottom of the mountain that Moses climbed up. So it's interesting to consider there are still Zio elements to the Masonic agenda. However, they are these days focusing on transhumanism, and indeed Freemasons are also Nazis. So it's interesting to consider the Freemasons are Nazi fetishists, and people like me, paranoid schizophrenics, are basically classed as Hebrews by the Freemason, Royal Arch Freemason elites and the elite intelligence operatives of the British intelligence services. Indeed, they wish to basically carry out an extermination agenda on the paranoid schizophrenic population, who are seen as not only unfit to breed, but a drain on society. So it's interesting to consider that the Freemasons and indeed most psychiatrists are Freemasons, wish to eliminate the paranoid schizophrenic population. And indeed, I believe a lot of this has to do with the cosmic conflict that is going on between paranoid schizophrenics and Freemasons. Indeed, Freemasons know that the paranoid schizophrenic population, at least 20 to 30% of the paranoid schizophrenic population, possess paranormal capacities and paranormal capabilities, and indeed the hallucinations that the paranoid schizophrenics suffer from are actually bleed throughs of paranormal activity. And the Freemasons are wholly aware of this, and they fear the paranoid schizophrenic for some reason that I haven't yet been able to determine, but they do fear the paranoid schizophrenic and therefore are interested in the demise of the paranoid schizophrenic population. And indeed, this is also relative to a Nazi perspective. Indeed, the Royal Arch Freemasons are eugenicists and therefore see the paranoid schizophrenics as a lower species and therefore have interests in that regard in seeing the paranoid schizophrenic suffer. And indeed, transhumanism is the modern continuation of the eugenics movements that were proliferating around the turn of the 19th or 20th century. So it's all very interesting to consider, really. And indeed, the Huxley family were heavily involved with the eugenics movement. Indeed, the Huxley family were British intelligence operatives. Indeed, it was Julian Huxley who coined the term transhumanism. We are really seeing the transhumanist agenda coming to fruition now in the 2020s. And indeed, the British intelligence elites wish to achieve the singularity. I'm not entirely sure what form this will take. However, the elites will have some sort of techno enhancements that will not be damaging to their psyche. It will be beneficial to their psyche. However, the masses will be implanted and be basically made into mind-controlled robots. So it's interesting to see that the singularity will take place across the whole of society. And this is seen as the next stage of human evolution by transhumanists who wish to create an elite species of supermen controlling mind-controlled robots. So this is basically how everything is beginning to turn out, and it is really quite a scary concept. Indeed, similar operations are taking place in the Russian Federation. Indeed, the KGB elites of the Russian Federation are testing targeted individuals and paranoid schizophrenics with psychotronic weapons, voice-to-skull technology, and overall mind control implants and mechanisms of mind control and thought control, attempting to achieve their own equivalent of the singularity, basically, and therefore create mass mind control. Indeed, Russian paranoid schizophrenics have a terrible time. Indeed, the conditions in Russian psychiatric hospitals are absolutely abominable. And indeed, Russian propaganda basically makes out the West to be the only perpetrators of this technology and this behavior. However, the Russian elites are doing exactly the same thing and attempting to create a psycho-civilization in a very similar way to how the Western intelligence services are attempting to create a psycho-civilization. Indeed, the project MK Ultra in the United States, Mindgate in the United Kingdom, and Project Sturm in the Russian Federation are all aligned towards the same ambition, and that is the creation of a psycho-civilized society. Indeed, the term psycho-civilization was termed by Dr. Jose Delgado, who was notorious for the implantation of microchips, not only in animals but also in humans. Indeed, it's interesting to consider that Lee Harvey Oswald, the supposed assassin of JFK, was implanted with a microchip during his time in a Minsk hospital. Indeed, it is unclear as to exactly which entity microchipped Lee Harvey Oswald. Indeed, it seems that it was the Russian intelligence services, but certain Russian intelligence operatives operating for the wider Nazi international. So it's interesting to consider there seems to have been a large Nazi influence in the assassination of JFK, and the selection of Jack Ruby as the assassin of Lee Harvey Oswald. Indeed, Jack Ruby was also implanted with a microchip in his brain at some point. Indeed, it's interesting to consider that at the time in Texas, there were lots of people running around with microchips in their brains. Indeed, this is how it's going to occur in the United Kingdom in the future, what with the mass microchipping of paranoid schizophrenics and the agenda of the transhumanists to destroy paranoid schizophrenic populations, and the fact that many paranoid schizophrenics will be microchipped by the British intelligence services and then be remotely radio controlled to carry out murders and other operations that will be seen as abominable by the British population, and therefore they will support the incarceration, implantation, and extermination of paranoid schizophrenics. Indeed, it's interesting to consider that the British intelligence are programming paranoid schizophrenics to be schizophrenic ghosts, as I've delineated in previous videos, and these schizophrenic ghosts will go out into the community and do things that no sane man would do. They're not doing it because of insanity, they're doing it because they have been programmed. So it's interesting to consider. Indeed, paranoid schizophrenics are usually benign and are not inclined towards violence. However, the media is creating a hype which is suggesting that all paranoid schizophrenics are incredibly violent people. And a lot of this is due to the mind control programming that is being perpetrated on paranoid schizophrenics that is causing paranoid schizophrenics to murder people. And this is part of a British intelligence transhumanist agenda. And indeed, it seems to be in full operation in the United Kingdom, just as it is in full operation in the United States and the Russian Federation. Indeed, not only the intelligence services, but also the military are programming paranoid schizophrenics. Indeed, in the Russian Federation, my mind control programming was mainly done by the GRU, who are the Russian military intelligence capacity. So there is a military interest in the weaponization of paranoid schizophrenics to support the transhumanist agenda. Indeed, I'm not entirely sure what the point was in the mind control programming of me by the GRU. Indeed, GRU observers, including the individuals Oleg Volsky and Dmitry Bulatin, were observing me at Grenville Lodge and were thinking this man is a lunatic. However, when I got to Belgrade, they kidnapped me, the Russian GRU, and took me to the Russian Federation, where I was mind control programmed. Indeed, I also believe that I went through some sort of assassination training. However, I wasn't given full military combat training. Indeed, any assassinations I may have carried out were carried out with kitchen utensils. So it's all very interesting to consider and altogether very strange. I don't see what the point was in the GRU programming me. Indeed, the British intelligence services have programmed me with Russian alters that bleed through often, so I begin to be convinced that I am a Russian operative. And indeed, I'm not entirely sure what part of the agenda this serves. Indeed, it seems that there was a cross agenda between the Grenville Lodge Freemasons and the Russian military intelligence capacity, though I'm not entirely sure of the reason for this dual programming that I underwent. Indeed, it's all very strange and very, very interesting to consider how all of this interlinks. Indeed, transhumanism is a an important factor to consider when one considers the activities of the Russian intelligence services. Indeed, the Russian intelligence services are themselves following a transhumanist agenda, also, just as the Grenville Lodge Freemasons and the Royal Arch Freemasons of British intelligence are following a transhumanist agenda. And how this is all going to work out, I do not know, but targeted individuals are test subjects for the transhumanist agenda. Indeed, I have been a mind control test subject since 2012 while I was located at Grenville Lodge. I've been in British intelligence mind control experiments, and I've also been in Russian military intelligence mind control experiments. Though for what reason, I do not know. Indeed, I believe I am implanted with a microchip, some sort of nanotechnology in my brain. However, I believe that it may have malfunctioned now, so they are attempting different mechanisms of programming, torture programming, and mind control experimentation on me. That includes the psychotronic beaming, which is a form of psychocorrection being utilized against me for my exposures of devices police, and voice to skull technology, which the purpose of which is to drive me as crazy as possible. Indeed, the perpetrators of the voice to skull technology wish to drive me as crazy as possible so that I will be incarcerated again, most probably in Green Lane Psychiatric Facility, where I will fall under the care of Dr. Peter Cohen, who is a Mossad operative and Royal Arch Freemason. And indeed, Dr. Peter Cohen is convinced that I am a Russian for some reason. Indeed, Dr. Peter Cohen wishes to deal with me as a Russian. So it's interesting to consider. Indeed, I've stated before that the Russian intelligence services are involved in a transhumanist agenda also, and I have no alignment to the Russian intelligence services or the Russian military intelligence capacity mind control program, i.e. the GRU. But Dr. Peter Cohen is convinced that I am a Russian, which will weave with the Blackwell legacy that the British intelligence services wish to perpetrate on me. So it's interesting to consider, and indeed, I'm not entirely sure how all of this is going to work out, but this seems to be all interconnected as an overarching Masonic transhumanist agenda, complete with elements of the KGB and the GRU who are involved in this transhumanist agenda, although with their own aspects to it. And indeed, it's all very interesting to consider, and I'm going to leave it there now.